Hey, hello, howdy, how you doing? Welcome back to Rescuing Raven Creek, where I'm dropped into the center of a completely infested city with nothing more than a pair of boxers and a Hawaiian shirt. From there, I've been tasked with gentrifying the city by wiping out the zombie threat. Last episode, we set up shop in the military outpost and spent some time clearing out the southern end of the map before pushing north into the city. Since then, I spent a few days reading the remainder of my skill books, during which the power finally went out. Now that we're organized and ready to go, my goal is to fully clear out both of the nearby neighborhoods. Now, one of them should be fairly populated since I haven't explored it yet, but the other I'm hoping should go pretty smoothly since it's the same neighborhood from episode 1, just the opposite end of it. With that being said, this intro's long enough. Let's get into things. For weapons, I'm rolling with that tactical Mossberg from last episode, along with the M19 that I have a suppressor and red dot on. I also grabbed 2 knives for the short blades since they use the least amount of stamina. To compensate, I went with a tin can club for my heavy hitter long blunt weapon. I really want to focus on the closest neighborhood first for obvious reasons. When it comes to clearing out areas, it's just best to hit what's in front of you and slowly work your way up instead of bouncing all over the map, especially once you're geared up the way I am. Since we didn't have much combat in the last episode, I wanted to make it a focal point for this one, so let's get started. It's also worth noting that in between waves of zombies, I would stop to loot any electrical gear from their corpses. I still need the Volume 1 book as well, so after I clear an area, I've been taking time to loot some of the houses to search for that. With the first block cleared out, I spent some time looting the area where I found the famed Electrical Volume 1 book. From there, I sped home, read the entire book in a night, and then proceeded to disassemble all of my electrical gear to power through the first level. Unfortunately, my diet of KFC and McDonald's caught up to me, and seemingly overnight, I woke up to find myself overweight. Luckily for us, Leaky Bum has a copy of True Grit, so after watching that, he set off on a nice 4-hour jog to burn off the excess calories. By the end of the day, I had officially stopped gaining weight, but I wasn't starting to lose any. So after setting out for one more jog that evening, I finally got the arrow to tick downwards. Now all that's left to do is wait. My weight hasn't started dropping yet, and Leaky Bum is still incredibly hungry. To be honest, I don't blame the guy since we have to pass by Jay's Chicken every day. That being said, next to Jay's Chicken is a mechanic shop, so I hit that up to grab any equipment I can use for leveling. After that, I headed across the street to another objective. For those that don't know, following this dirt path leads you to a nice secure prison. I actually based here on our Night Sprinters wipe on the member server, and I have to say, it's easily the safest location in the map. I tried to make a more stealthy approach once I got inside, using these silenced M19 and melee weapons. The reason being, there could be a ton of hidden zombies on the upper levels, and I don't want to get ambushed while going door to door here. garage is absolutely loaded with materials and hammers for melee weapons, which was a nice find. I kept the main doors closed for now with plans to come back and loot it at the end. Moving into the cafeteria, all of the chairs are made with metal, which means they can be disassembled with a propane torch for metalworking XP. The plan is going to be to grind these until I can make a workbench, in which case we can start making some late game melee weapons to rock with. I don't have a key to move into the next section yet, so I just sat on the other side of this gate and winged shots at the zombies from the other side while I waited for them to break down the door. Fortunately, they decided to break through as soon as I emptied all my mags, which forced me all the way back into the courtyard to reload. While pushing back in, I managed to scoop a key off of a corpse, giving me total access to the prison. The next step here is clearing the east wing. I have to go cell by cell since the window barriers aren't breakable. This means that zombies can just stack up on it and smack them until they either see us, hear us, or get shot by us. I also have to keep the stairs in mind behind me. You may see me retreat back near the cafeteria from time to time to reload. Every time I have to do that, it's important to run behind the stairs. That way, if zombies are coming down from the levels above, they won't be able to sneak up on me from behind. Embracing the prison life, I took the last prisoner out on the ground floor by surprise, bending him over his cabinet and stabbing him repeatedly. Before hopping in my car, I did manage to loot the garage, which contained 2 industrial propane tanks that'll come in handy later. I left both of those behind for now, since we'll be coming back here with a blowtorch to get some grinding in once the prison is secured. We've been rocking the M19 and the shotgun for a few days now, so I wanted to spice things up a bit. I grabbed an MP5 and slapped a red dot and a suppressor on it, along with a stock and rifle sling. From there, I grabbed about half my mags and set back out for the prison. This time around was much easier. I was able to clear out the second and third floors in a few hours, and by early afternoon, I'd fully cleared the prison. Now all that's left to do is grind out metalworking. So I went home, grabbed my gear, and began the trip back, arriving that evening. I did end up spending the night in the prison, sleeping in the lounge on the second floor, before getting back to work in the cafeteria. After leveling up again, I took all the scrap metal from the area, threw all 219 pieces of it into the van, and set off back to base. All I need to make a workbench is 3 metal sheets, so I got to work clearing the wreckage just outside of the outpost. With the workbench fully built, I moved all of my metalworking supplies over and then converted a ton of my ripped sheets into thread and twine so that we can start making weapons. That being said, I still need to farm out a few metalworking skills before we can get to the things worth crafting, so it's back to neighborhood clearing until I find volume 2. I'm using the same premise as before, where I walk into a neighborhood, blare the horn, and run around with a shotgun until zombies stop coming for me. After shooting up the neighborhood, I'll then go door to door, clearing out the remaining shamblers before looting places like it's 2020 all over again. After clearing the east section of the neighborhood, I pushed north, ending up on the same street as the bookstore that I hit a few days ago. As I pulled up, I noticed some more zombies congregating nearby, so I hopped out and got to work. This ended up pulling a few dozen zombies over to me, taking most of the evening to fight through. The next morning was more of the same. My big goal for today was to fully secure that first neighborhood. That being said, progress was incredibly slow, mainly due to the fact that I was going building to building, door to door, finding maybe 2 to 3 zombies per floor. After leaving a larger complex, I walked outside to another severe storm, prompting me to head back to base and read Metalworking Volume 2. While reading in the car that evening, a second heli event triggered, though I'm not sure it had any effect since we've pushed so far north at this point. Keeping with the trend, the storm continued for several days, during which I completely disassembled the entire field of vehicles sitting outside of the outpost, tossing the metal pieces into the workbench and onto the crafting shelves. On the third day of the storm, I set out for a familiar location. Remember that self-storage building from the first episode? Well, there was that massive warehouse section that was full of crafting items that I never touched. Well, for most of these scrap weapons, we'll need cordless drills, and I figured that'd be the best place to look for them. This turns out to be a perfect plan, as I walked away with almost half a dozen cordless drills and well over a dozen weapons, not including all of the welding rods and other crafting material. While leaving, I thought it'd be a good idea to stop and see just how many zombies were in the area. For the next hour or so, I tried to pull zombies out of a nearby apartment building, which almost got me killed several times. To be honest, I was completely unprepared for this. I was hungry, thirsty, and while I had weapons, I didn't have anything else in terms of survival. Eventually, I saw a small opening and took my chance, making it back to my car and driving all the way back to base for the day for some much needed Moodle management. Over the next day or two, I moved all of the material into the workbench or respective location. I also refilled some of my water bottles using ripped sheets to light the campfire. Alright, at this point, I scratched the idea of cleansing the second neighborhood entirely. Instead, I had a sudden impulse to really get a feel for how occupied Raven Creek truly was. So after grabbing an M16, 10 mags, and over 500 rounds of ammo, I set off for the intersection to the north of the outpost. The biggest pain with using guns is the immense amount of time it takes to reload. With 10 magazines, it takes me almost a full in-game hour to reload all of them, all while dodging and kiting hundreds of zombies. By around 3 PM, I'd burned through all of my 5.56 ammo and left a blood-stained road covered with hundreds of corpses. The downside? Well, there's hundreds more still walking towards me. We'll have to make plans as to how to deal with that next week, though. We're up to 2,400 kills now, with firearms making up just under 1,500 of them. Skill-wise, we've leveled up maintenance and sprinting once, metalworking 3 times, tailoring twice, long and short blunt once, and aiming once. We're making steady progress, but in terms of kills, I think we need to start picking up the pace. A very special thank you to all my YouTube members and Patreon supporters who make it possible for me to make these longer series. I appreciate you all, and as always, thanks for stopping by.